listening to the Successful Mind Podcast.
Successful people learn how to make their minds work for them. I'm David Nagel, and this is the Successful Mind Podcast. Hey everybody, David Nagel here, and welcome to part 6 of Building the Business of Your Dream, our summer series. I'm really glad to have you here. We're going to wrap this up with part 6 here, and it's going to be an interesting episode, I think. I think this is where, like, the rubber meets the road type of an idea. I've given you a lot of information. I've given you the basic nuts and bolts of what it takes in order to become successful. And what we're going to talk about today, again, like, nothing that I've told you is a waste here. You can't do this and throw something away because you don't like what it is that you're hearing. However, I will admit that there are some people that look at some of the information and they go, I don't know that I like that, or I don't know that I want to do that. And that is a problem. It definitely is. So the idea for today, the title of number 6 is The Only Obstacle to Success. Okay. So what is the obstacle and why is it an obstacle? Well, let's start with this idea. I've said this several times now. You were born to be a success. And it's literally built into your DNA for you to be successful. However, why are there so many people that would say that they're not successful? And usually they don't just say that they're not successful. They're doing things that they don't like to do. And I think that's an amazing clue as to for one of the first things that we should look at as far as our life goes whenever we want to do something. What do I want to do? If you remember from the very first episode, I said, what do you want? It's the hardest question that you're ever going to be asked in your life. Now, I'm taking it a step further. What do you like? Okay. The idea of what you like to do and what you don't like to do plays an enormous role in whether or not you actually manifest the thing that you want. Part of the problem is that we're dealing with paradigms, and a paradigm is nothing more than a set of habits that stem from beliefs that were given as a child. So you have paradigms equals a person's beliefs. And those patterns and beliefs, those paradigms and beliefs consistently run without any conscious effort on our part, and they will continually to produce the results that you get in your life unless you do something to change it. So when you look at your life the way that it is right now, whatever the results are, they'll stay that way unless you actually go in and you change the paradigm and the beliefs that are causing those results to show up. When I was stuck, I was consistently reproducing the same problem over and over and over again. It didn't appear like I was putting any effort into causing the things that I didn't want. I was just doing what I thought I was supposed to do every day in life, and I didn't know how to do anything different. And that's how most people stay stuck. They don't know how to do anything different. So again, I'm going to reach into this book, and I'm going to share something with you that I think is just an amazing piece of wisdom. He says, we are prone to believe more than what we see. The evidence of the senses are only the facts that some accept. But now we shall realize more and more that it is what we believe that determines what we shall see. It's what we believe that determines what we shall see. So here's a question to ask yourself about your own life and beliefs, and make sure you're just looking at yours. Don't look at somebody else's. Don't look at mine. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Take one result in your life and look at it. Now, as you look at that result, I'm not asking you, do you want the result? I'm asking you what you believe about it. What do you believe about the results that you're currently getting in your life? Let's say that a person is not enough money. Let's say that that's the result that a person has. What is it that you believe? What are your core beliefs around the idea that you don't have enough money? And again, I don't want you to think about what you want. I don't want you to think about right or wrong. Just what do you believe about it? If you have any trouble with that, pay attention to what you say about money on a regular basis. Do you know, most people talk about money in such a way that they create a result that it is difficult to make money, that there's not enough, that they can't afford the things that they want. Some of the things about money have to do with not being good, or they have a kind of a downward religious connotation to it, like in some bad way. We're exposed to a lot of beliefs around money. If we're going to change it, we have to begin to change those beliefs. Now, if we go back with this here, let's look at something else that's pretty interesting. Let's take a look at a result that you're getting, okay, that you want to change, and you actually have the head knowledge on how to change it, but you don't stick with it long enough to change, right? What is the result? Write that down, and then ask yourself, how many times have you said to yourself, I'm going to change this or I want to change it, but you don't do it? The belief is not right. You have knowledge. You have knowledge in your conscious mind that says, okay, if I want this result, I have to do these things, whatever it is that it might be. But you start to do them and then you stop and you don't follow through with it. Have you ever asked yourself why you don't follow through with something? Why is it that you can't get yourself to do those things? Do you know, when we're talking about success in our life, when we're talking about money in our life, and we want to make more of all of this, there is a key that is an obstacle for most people that keeps them from getting it. It doesn't matter how much information that they get, they can't get themselves to do the things that are necessary consistently enough in order to change those results. The entire key around it is consistency. Here's what you will find, and actually, I hope this is disturbing when you actually find it. If you look at the results that you're currently getting in your life, okay, the ones that you don't want, if you're honest with yourself, you'll realize that the things that you're doing to create those results, you're doing consistently enough that the result keeps showing up in your life. So why is it that we will consistently do one thing that brings in a result that we don't want, yet we can't do the thing that'll bring us in the result that we do want? We can't be consistent over there to actually do it. I'm going to address two issues around this today, and hopefully that will inspire you to make the change that is necessary. And then we have some other things that we could share with you that'll help you actually make that change. One of the things that I found that was fascinating was that when I first began to think about changing, part of the problem that I had was I was looking at my life in a very negative way. I didn't like what I was doing for a living. And I walked around all day long saying, I hate what I do, I hate what I do, I hate what I do. And then because I didn't like what I was doing, I didn't care much about the quality of what I was doing. So I didn't really work to give my very best. I worked to just kind of go home. Let me just get this done so I can get out of here. Because why? Because I hate it. And I kept saying, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. And then because I was always getting in trouble, or I wasn't doing a good job, or I was constantly staying stuck in that rut, I was not treating other people well because of it. I was taking out my own disappointment, my own humiliation, my own anger on other individuals. So I wasn't treating people with respect that deserved respect, but I wasn't doing it. When I first came across the idea that I was going to change those three things, love what I do everything to the best of my ability, and treat people with total respect, I started thinking about it from the perspective of, I'm going to do this every day My original idea was I'm going to do this every day for a year and see if it makes any difference whatsoever, because I had this kind of enlightening moment that said, change your attitude. And I had tried everything else and nothing was changing the results that I was getting. So I recognized very quickly, the very first day that I made this commitment, that if I didn't figure out some other way of approaching this, as far as how I viewed these three things, I wasn't going to stick with it, because my consistency wasn't around success. My consistency was around failure, and it had been for a long period of time. So I started to think about, what is it that I have to do, and how do I get myself to do it? And part of the thing was this. I asked myself this question. I remember I was in my car on my way home from work, and I said, I'm going to start this tomorrow morning. How do I get myself to love something that I hate? How do I get myself to love something that I hate? Now, if I was you, I'd write that down, because it's going to prove to be very important in your journey. And I thought to myself, you know something? What if I acted as if I loved something, as if I was an actor, right? How would an actor act if they actually love something? And what I did was I started thinking about the things that I was doing leading to the results that I wanted. And I thought, every day I am going to show up and I am going to act or behave, okay, as if I love what the thing is that I'm doing, okay? I did this with everything, right? I'm going to act as if I was this person. Now, when I say act, I literally mean act, not just pretend, but I behaved as if I would behave if I was passionately in love with what I was doing. And you know, in a very short period of time, I actually saw the results of that. In other words, when you listen to the last episode, I talked about the law of cause and effect. This became a cause that changed the effect of what was happening in my life. As I began to act like I loved what I did, as I began to give the very best to everything that I was doing, this wasn't like imagination. This was really doing it. I found something fascinating. That there was a part of me that actually loved doing the good job, doing the right thing, treating things with this kind of respect. And I remembered that. Now, I didn't know how that was attached to getting, a massive success in a short period of time, but I was going to find out once I started studying. Because when I started my own business, I ran into a problem that was very unexpected very early on, and that was I just wanted to teach and do seminars. I didn't want to do the sales. And it was showing up in the way I felt about sales when I was actually doing it. And I was on the phone, I was having a conversation with my mentor, and I said to him, I'm having a problem with sales. And he says, what's the problem? I said, well, there's not enough. And I said, I need to figure out a way to get through a short time on this so that I can actually find somebody to sell. And he said, why don't you do the sales yourself? And I said, I don't know. I don't want to. I don't really like sales. And he said, why don't you like sales? And I said, well, I don't know. I just don't like it. And he said, I know. And I said, you do? And he said, yeah. I said, well, why don't I like it? He said, because you think sales is something you do to someone. He said, it's not. It's something that you do for them. In that moment, bam, my awareness changed instantly. And I saw what he meant. See, the problem that I was having was that the belief that I was consistently putting behind what I was doing was that there was something wrong with sales, and that I'm forcing or convincing or, trying to manipulate somebody into buying something. Why? Because that's what I heard all my life about sales. I didn't hear good things growing up around it. And when he said to me, it's something you do for them, I actually saw it in complete alignment with how I was teaching and coaching people. I thought this is nothing more than helping a person become clear about something that they want to buy for their life that is going to make a positive difference in their life. And what I found was that as I changed my meaning that I had attached to something, I changed how I felt about it. And I literally fell in love with the idea of making sales because I learned one of the most important things, and this is for everybody, that nothing really starts until that sale is made. Why? Because a sale is a decision to change something significant with a product or a service for the betterment of your life. But when you've got conflicting beliefs around it, it causes major, major issues. So let's take a look at something else here in this book before we move on here. I always found the knowledge in this book to really be very interesting as far as how do we view the world. So again, this is Working with the Law by Raymond Hollywell, just so you know what book it's coming out of. And this is under the chapter, The Law of Receiving. He says, in a state of limited understanding, we reason that we must get before we can give. Now, when you're thinking about doing something consistently, very often we say to ourselves, I can't do this or that because I don't have this or that. In other words, this is the way that we see it. Here's the excuse I'm going to make as to why I can't do something, as if I need something before I can make the decision. He goes on to say, and then we turn and walk in the same mental rut as before by reasoning that we must give before we can get. But in our lack of understanding, we continue to leave the getting idea foremost in our thought, and then we shut out the spirit of giving. Giving, which is the first fundamental law of life, is the first law of all creation. Giving. Well, what are we giving? We're giving us. We're giving our attention. We're giving our love. We're giving our passion in life to whatever it is, the thing that we're doing. Most people that aren't consistent, they're not giving. All they're looking is to get. So they do something for a little while. They're frustrated by having to do it. They don't get anything in return, and they don't want to continue doing it. If you look at everything that a person needs to be consistent with to do anything in their life, to make any change, you will find at the core they give up because they're not getting anything in return for it. But they're also not giving anything to it. And the key to having that consistency in everything that we do is to put the love of ourselves into that. How do we do it? We realize that it's actually part of us. It's the first fundamental law of life. You must give in order to get. It's cause and effect, right? The cause is that I am going to put me, the me that's passionate about life, that's in love with what it is that I want to do, into something, because when I give something my attention, when I'm consistent about it, when I make a decision to do something, I'm giving the greatest thing in the world, my sacred life. Think about that. Your life is absolutely sacred. It's not something that we're trading. It's not something that we're just showing up to do. We're not designed here to be miserable. We're designed to give something. But most people don't believe they have anything to give. It's like they're poor in hand and it's less in spirit. So the idea is this. How do I learn to be consistent in something that I'm doing? Because the first thing is that if you change the meaning around what you're doing, you're going to change the outcome of how it shows up in your life. If you walk around going, I hate to do this, I hate to do this, I hate to do this, then the body is going to react to that. You're not going to want to stick with something. Okay, now let's put that idea aside for a second. I told you I was going to teach you two things about this. The second one is the total idea that you might be picking something that you think you have to do, that you don't have to do, that you don't like, because you don't think that you can do something that you love. I run into this all the time with individuals who literally want to live a life where they love what they're doing, but they don't know what that is, and they don't think that they can do it, or they don't think that they can earn money doing it. Again, they've attached the wrong meaning to things. I created a program a number of years ago called the Elite Mind 90-Day Program. And what we do we take people in a 90-day period of time, and I work with them every day, 7 days a week for 90 days, first thing in the morning. and we teach them how to be consistent with one thing in order to achieve an end result. Because what does it do when we learn how to be consistent? When we learn how to be consistent, we change this belief in our mind that we can be, and we literally learn how to be consistent, because most people don't, outside of the paradigm with the idea that they have to do something. How about coming from life with the idea of I want to do something? Wouldn't it be fantastic if you could get out of bed every morning and go, I cannot believe my life. It is so amazing. And I get to do all of these different things that I love to do. And really live your life that way. I'm here to tell you that you can. You absolutely can. But you have to give yourself a paradigm shift in order for that to happen. Because the only obstacles to success these days, the only obstacle to success is consistency in what you're doing that will be the cause of the effect that you want to produce in your life. But the only problem with that is that we're constantly going against ourselves. We're not fighting something in the outside world. We're fighting something in the inside world. Can you get yourself to consistently do the thing that needs to be done in order to produce the result that you want? So the key to that is, number one, do you want to do it? Do you actually want to do it? So it's also this, right? You have the thing that you have to do, which is the cause, and then you have the goal that you want to create, which is the effect. Do you want both of those things? Do you want the cause and the effect, right? What use is the effect if you have to wake up every day and do something that you hate? That makes no sense. But to a lot of people, it makes sense because that's the world that they were raised in. That's what they were taught. It doesn't matter what you want, right? Everybody has to do stuff that you don't like to do. Really? Where is it that we were taught this? And again, there's two problems with this. Number one, you can actually live a life doing the things that you do love. Number two, if there's something that's absolutely essential to your success and you hate doing it, before we change anything, let's examine the meaning that you've attached to it. I just told you about my story with sales. I hated it and didn't want anything to do with it. But like most people in business, it becomes the necessary evil. That's what we hear. But I had attached the wrong meaning to it. I attached a meaning to it that obviously was not aligning with my values. My values were to treat people well, to be a betterment in people's lives. And here I am thinking that I have to do something that I don't want to do, or do something to people that's not very nice at all in order just to move ahead. Where did I get this idea from? Well, it was the idea that I was raised with. And millions and millions and millions of people are raised with the same idea. What it shows is the lack of understanding for what they're doing. Anybody can put a prejudice on something and carry it down for multiple generations, and people believe it because that's the way that they're raised. It does not make it true in any way. Does that mean that there's not people that abuse sales and manipulate people? No, it doesn't mean that at all. There's all kinds of people that do that. But you will always find that there's people that take really great things in life and use it for not so great purposes. We can't control that, right? That's not who we want to be. So we're going to take it and use it for the things that really do make a difference in our own life. But the only thing that we can control is how do we feel about what we're doing based on the meaning that we've attached to it. And number two, if it is something that's truly not in harmony with who we are, then we want to find the thing that we are in harmony with so that we automatically want to do it. I guarantee you that there's things that you absolutely love in your life that you could spend all day doing. You lose track of time. You absolutely love it. Nobody's got to twist your arm to do it. It may or may not have anything to do with money, but you just enjoy it, right? It's something that you love to do. Your whole life can be that way. I'm here to tell you it truly can be that way. I didn't believe that when I was younger, but not only do I believe it, I've changed my life to do that, right? It's astounding how different it could be when these things change. So the key for today's lesson, and where we want to wrap this up, is the idea of consistency. If you'd like to learn more about our program, which is called the Elite Mind 90-Day Program, go to lifeisnowinc.com/elite. lifeisnowinc.com/elite. We would love to work with you for 90 days and show you how to build the consistency, develop the knowledge, the awareness, and learn the cause and effect of creating anything that you want in your life. We've had so many people go through this program, and it's been a best-selling program that we've had for almost the entire length of the company, for the reason that the number one key for people to be successful really in today's day and age is consistency. Think about this. All the knowledge that we need to be successful is on the internet these days, and it's on the internet for free, mostly. The only thing that's not on the internet is how can we learn how to be consistent, and how do we apply knowledge in the right order to get the desired result that we have. We show you how to do both of those things and give you the awareness in the Elite Mind 90-Day Program. Again, go to lifeisnowinc.com/elite and ask yourself a very important question. Your life is sacred. Are you really living it in a way where you get up every morning and you love what to do? When you look into your future, is it bright and sunny? Is it something that's filled with passion and enjoyment? Are you doing that with your family? Are you doing that with your children? You absolutely can. And you only need to make a few changes in order to do it. Hopefully, this summer series will give you the impetus and the ideas to start building that change into your life. Because I promise you, if you start doing the things that I shared with you, you're going to start to see success happen really fast. I know it happened for me. It's happened with thousands of people that I've worked with over the last 24 years, and it can definitely happen with you. I hope you have a fantastic summer. This is David Nagel. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the Successful Mind Podcast. If you like what you heard and you want to learn more, go to lifeisnowinc.com. I'll see you next week.